Sweet. Okay.
All right.
Go for it, girlfriend. You're gonna do great.
So I just want to say, like, before, just
Mhm.
to give you, one of my biggest concerns is, like, I don't want it to be too serious. I want it to like, have humor ingrained, but, like, obviously my message, I want not to be funny.
Okay.
So if you find yourself being like, wow, she's an asshole, like, those are definitely, because I feel like that's how I've been for a couple presentations.
Okay.
I'm like, oh no. Okay.
No, I will definitely let you know. Let me get that out of the way. Okie dokie. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Having extra of something is always a great thing. If mainstream America has taught me anything, it's that more is always better. If you have something plus something else, it means you had more than you had in the first place, and that's always a great place to be. So, if you have 50% off, that means more money in your pocket. If you get +1 to a wedding, that means you're more likely to have a good night. If you get breadsticks plus a medium topping pizza, even more likely to have a good night. Plus size, 58% more likely to be uncomfortable in the skin you live in. You might notice that in all these situations, plus size is the only situation where plus actually subtracts from your quality of life. And men and women around the world would agree with this. Psychology Today did a study about body image in America. They had 4,000 responses, 86% which were of women, which I think says something right there. And not only were 58% of women more likely to feel uncomfortable in the body they live in, 89% had a goal to lose weight. And it went so far as to say, they asked the question, how many years of your life would you be willing to take off to be at your goal weight? 24% of women and 17% of men said they would give up 3 years or more. And I don't know about you, but those numbers shocked me. And I don't know if they shocked me because it seemed so drastic or because I never realized how many of us were in the same boat. And so from reading these numbers, I felt compelled to figure out the answer to 2 questions. 1, why do we feel this way? And 2, how wonderful would it be if we didn't? Because for me, I'm going to be honest with you, since I was a little girl, I knew I was fat. And before I go into the story, I think it's really important to say that I had considerable thoughts of whether or not to use that word, fat. And I thought about using another word, like overweight, or bigger, or my least favorite, chubby. But I had 2 reasons why I thought fat might be a poor word choice. One is because I know how that word makes people feel. The word fat makes people feel uncomfortable. You see, fat is what I like to call the actual F word, because in today's society, most people would prefer me to say the other word instead of fat. The second reason is because I acknowledge that some people might not see me as fat. I realize I have a certain level of body privilege, as everyone else does, and that I would hate to make someone else feel a certain way or to minimize someone else's experiences because I gave myself the label of fat. However, despite those 2 concerns I had, I choose to start this story by saying, since I was little, I knew I was fat, because that's exactly how I felt. And what I think is more interesting than knowing I was fat when I was little was how I found out I was fat. Because you see, my whole family, honestly, we're all on the bigger side, and we all have the same eating patterns, so it's not like I stood out at home. In class, I never really got bullied or picked on, so there wasn't any problems there. But the first time I realized I was fat was when I was shopping with my mom. When you're a little girl in the early 2000s, all you want to do is shop at Justice and Limited Too and all those storefronts that looks like they're about to throw up glitter. And I would beg my mom to go into the store, and then I would try something on, and it wouldn't fit. And it's not because they were sold out of my size, it was because they didn't sell it in the first place. So the only place that carried my size in little girls' clothes was JCPenney, which was where I got all of my clothes, which was fine. The clothes were cute, and for my mom, who was struggling with an overweight daughter, it was a huge success for them to have clothes in major stores at all. But the issue was that my clothes weren't with the rest of the little girls. They were in a corner in the back of the store, and there was a huge sign that hung over it that said plus. And each and every piece of clothing had a huge pink tag on it that said Girls Plus. And I was so embarrassed by this tag that I would hide from the cashier so she wouldn't know they were for me. And that was when I learned I was fat. So that was my answer to my first question. Why do we think this way? And while I know every story is different and everyone has a different perspective and a different motive, I personally think that one of the main reasons people feel uncomfortable and guilty in the body they live in is because every time we go shopping or get clothing as a gift, or we have to pack for vacation, or we just freaking have to put on jeans in the morning, we see a label someone else put on us. Whether it says 0, 14, 32, small, double extra large, plus, husky, petite, big and tall, you name it, we have a tag or a sign for it. And while that was my answer to the question, why do we think this way, I don't think I'm alone in that boat. I read an article by Lauren, who is a size 14 writer for Glamour magazine, who was tired of not finding clothes in stores for her size. Which, if you're wondering, plus size is considered anything size 14 or above, which I alone find shocking because 67% of women define themselves as a size 14 or above, but I digress. So Lauren, she decided to do an experiment. She and a group of her plus size labeled friends decided to go to 69 of the biggest stores in a metropolitan area and see if they could find plus size clothes. Out of 69 locations, 41 didn't carry plus size at all. And of the 28 that did, 23 had sections on an upper floor, in the back quarter, with one being in the same area as a fast food restaurant, which was a little confusing to me and her. And of those 23, or of those 28 that did have plus size clothing, to them, only 8 had enough section to go back for. So 8 out of 69 were the only ones that were worth much. And ironically, JCPenney did make the top 8. And I find that incredible. I find it incredible that stores are making strides when all they do is simply have plus size clothing available. I find it incredible that when JCPenney opened its first plus size section, it outsold every other clothing section combined. And I find it incredible stores are compelled to put the word girl and the word plus in the same sentence. So what if there wasn't a divide by size? What if fashion companies acknowledged the $18 billion a year industry that plus size clothing created? And what if body image was included in this 21st century societal push for diversity acceptance? In a world where plus is normally a good thing, I think starting with storefronts would be an incredible place to begin. And while I know fixing the fashion industry does not fix all body image issues out there, it doesn't fix food addiction or emotional food dependency or genetic dispositions or the correlation between childhood sexual assault and obesity. But what could it do? Which brings me back to that second question I asked before. In a world where 58% of women are dissatisfied with their overall body appearance and 89% have a goal to lose weight, how wonderful would it be if we didn't feel this way? How wonderful would it be if you could go into a store and know that you belonged? How wonderful would it be if every time you were buying something, you didn't justify that it would look good a few pounds less from now? How wonderful would it be if March didn't initiate the rat race to getting down to your summer weight? And how wonderful would it be if little girls and little boys didn't grow up knowing they were fat? Thank you.
I'm giving you a second. Yeah. Yeah. That hit me in my core. That was good. I literally wrote down chills.
Aw.
At one point, I was just like, chills. That was good.
Thank you.
That came from a place for you, didn't it?
Yeah.
I could tell.
For sure.
Okay. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. I just was.
Oh, no.
I just wanted to make that known.
Yeah. It's black. I don't know if it matters.
Oh, yeah. No, it's still going. It's still going. You made time, which was good.
Oh, did I?
You were like in nine-ish minutes.
Okay.
So
cool.
that which was like perfect.
Yeah.
I liked your intro. Can I look at your script too?
Yes,
Like, I want to
sure.
kind of like go through like this as well.
Yeah.
So, I think I really liked about like having how you started this.
Okay.
Because if I'm being honest, I don't think I thought that it was going to go where it went, but I liked that.
Okay.
I really liked that because I think that that was like, you're like, say, having extra something is great. So I also thought that I was like, there was a part of me that was like, maybe this is going to go towards poverty. Maybe this is going to go towards like, there's certain things, but I like the surprise element that you gave to that. I did appreciate that. Your stats were really good. I liked those. I think what you need to do, like this is just like a suggestion, is
for sure.
you need to have those in a visual aid so people can see it, because it's like I think a lot of times people are going to miss it if you don't have you're not looking at something and then bringing it back and that kind of stuff. So I think that would be pretty good.
Okay, good.
So quality of life is really good because I'm kind of talking about that in mine as well, but I think that's something that you really need to bring full circle.
Okay.
Meaning, like, your personal story was great. I think it emphasized everything and complimented everything very well. And I like that it wasn't, this is going to sound bad, but I like that the whole thing wasn't the personal story.
No, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, like, a lot of times, like, people just give a story and then you're kind of like, well, what do I need to do? Like, what do I need to take away from this? And I thought that was good. Your voice is great. Having, like, you're doing a really good job with, like, you're saying, oh, this is good. I like how you emphasize words and then you drop your voice, but then you'll lift it up at like certain moments. That's really good. That's a pretty good skill. When you talk about F being like the F word being fat instead of the other word, that was a pretty impactful moment. So I think that what you need to do is you need to separate that and make it really known and really stand out. Okay. Because that kind of, for me at that moment when you said it's like most people, like when we say the F word, we think of like fuck. No, that's not what you're thinking about in this situation. And it's like, I think that that's really good. That was really a creative way to do it.
Okay.
So maybe just like make it more of a moment. Yeah. Be like, because that's also how you lead into your personal story, which I think is really important. I really like that you said like there's a corner for plus. I always have thought that was total bullshit.
Right?
But
like actual
total bullshit. I think this whole thing is total bullshit. Like, so you've got me on that side. But labels from clothes kind of are making you, they're labeling who, like what your worth is. I think you can tie that into life satisfaction. So like say like, do you get what I'm saying? Like the higher the size goes up, the lower the life satisfaction goes down. I think that would be really impactful too, because it's like, I always think about it like, I have gotten American Eagle jeans my entire life.
Yeah. And
I lost weight and I went up a size. So it's like, it's just like one of those things where it's like, because the size went up, I feel like it was less of me and I was like, this sucks. Yeah. So I think that's really important because that's like how I view it, but I mean, it's up to you. Like,
no, for sure. It's like the bigger number you get, it's like,
yeah.
Man, I wish I was that number, yeah.
This is your... And I like this when you said, I found out that you thought that you were fat. I think that was like really interesting because it wasn't something that it wasn't like you're born with it. It's something that society tells you. Like, oh my God, I'm marking on this. Is that okay?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, please mark on it.
Okay. I think that was really important. Like, society is the one who's telling you this. You're not the one who's telling you this. I don't know if this is true or not, but like your family's not the one that's telling you this. This is really cool. And I think I really like how you talked about limited to adjusted because that was like every girl's dream. And then when you brought in JCPenney, it's because JCPenney is a bigger store and doesn't carry like, they carry name brands, but like the top ones, it kind of like drug it down a little bit. So I think that was kind of interesting too, because it's like we think of, oh my God, limited to injustice, we're like the shit, but then it's like, I got myself from JCPenney's. Like middle school is like a time where everyone's like, I gotta be the shit.
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of stuff. So that was really good. Each piece of clothing, who's taking it? I hate when they do that. Don't put plus on everything. That just sucks. Because it's like, I understand, like, when you go to the checkout, it's like...
And how wonderful would it be if just... Couldn't you just have a size 12 next to a size 14 next to a size 16?
Who cares?
Like, I don't...
That's what I'm saying. Oh, girl. I'm gonna get going on this. Your stats are good. I got chills for that. I do like how... I think what you need to do... So when you talk, you kind of like, you'll stand in the same place. I don't know if it's just because of the room, because I did that too.
Yeah.
But you'll stand in the same place, and I think that like there are certain points, and we'll go through this in a minute, but like I think there are certain points of, is this still going?
I know, you get paranoid.
Yeah, it's still going. Okay, I was wondering if you could maybe be like, so here are some numbers right here. It's like, after reading these numbers, I felt compelled to figure out an answer to these questions, talk about this question, what you're thinking, and then go to your next question, because I know for me as someone who watches things, when people move, it draws my attention to it a little bit more. I think that that's really important, and I think that when you talk about, your story, I think you're like, if you have slides or anything, I think they need to be off. I think you have to have nothing behind you, nothing to distract you. I think you need to be the center of attention. Because that is, like, I think that, like, when people are talking about themselves, I don't want anything in the background because I'm just going to get distracted and I feel bad because I'm not paying attention to it. So I think that it's really important if you, like I know in mine I had slides that were just black. Because it's like, I want people to focus on me, and I think that's really important. And I know that with your story, like, people are going to listen to you. They will listen to you the entire time. Not that they won't with the rest of your speech, but I think that this is so important because it comes from the heart. It's something that you're being really vulnerable with. Mm-hmm. So I think that really needs to have, like, you need to transition from that. So, like, I think if you were, like, if you had something else, like, you turn it off, and then you stand, and you kind of give yourself a little bit of, like, power stance, and you, like, make it known, and you're, like, kind of, like, bring this energy, and people are going to realize that.
One thing I was just
rambling.
So, like, this is, I don't know if they need to see it. Yeah. But, like, I have these kind of things for, like, the beginning part, just to, like, make the emphasis on the word plus.
Yes.
And then things I scanned.
That looks good.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Things I scanned in that I don't know where to use, but I feel like if I'm going to
We can go through that, yeah.
Yeah, if I'm going to talk about what I looked like as a kid, one of my questions would be, well, like, what did she look like?
Well, I talked about myself in middle school, so I put a picture of myself in middle school, but that's also something that you don't have to do. Yeah. This is not anyone else's presentation. This is your presentation.
Yeah.
If you feel okay doing that, then I think it would be really great. That's also another, like, I kind of was like, do I really want to put a picture up there? Because that is me from, like, a very vulnerable time in my life that I don't want to go back to. Mm-hmm. But I know that I can handle it if I do that, because it's like...
Right.
Yeah. So I think that if you do have the picture, I think that would be good, but I also know that if that's something that you don't want to do, I don't think it's going to hurt your presentation in a way that would be extreme.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
No, for sure. And I think, like when we talked about our word about greatness, I said vulnerable. So I'm kind of, like, pushing myself to, like, I mean, this isn't the kind of speech I would typically be comfortable giving. Right. So I feel like I have just, like, pictures of hospital. Like, that was Libby Lou, if you remember that.
Oh my god, Libby Lou, oh my god, I remember that.
But I guess I think I'm willing to show, like, at least one. But I'm wondering where, because I agree with you that I don't think I should put it, like, in my story. Yes. I wonder if it's one of those things where, like, I think it's like, when I was little, I knew I was fat.
Well, that's what I think it's like when you found out, ever since I was a little girl, I knew I was fat. That could be a good point too, because that's kind of like a transition. But I do think that when you're starting out with this, you need to have it blank. You need to get the attention drawn to you. Yeah. And once you have captured that attention, they know that it's a personal story, then you bring it in. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I was wondering if I don't have to put it up for very long, but I think it would answer a question here. Like, if maybe it was just for that part, and then at this part, I put up, like, the F word. Like,
which part?
Like, when I start going, because I think that's important.
I thought using bigger, I hate that word.
It's so gross. Like, if I put up this word, if that's where I transition it, is like, it's, and then I go to a different slide, but then when I'm actually telling how this experience, I don't have a picture.
Yes.
If that's where you're thinking it should be black.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So, yeah, because I think that would be an important, and I don't want to, like, leave my audience with, like, them asking themselves other questions, but I really do want their attention. So I think by getting rid of the question, we'll, like, what did
I like that. I like that a lot, because I think that this is important, and if you want to, go for it.
Okay. That's good.
Go for it. And then, like I said, right here, that was just a moment. Like, this right here was just, that was it. Like, when I found out, I don't know if that's just, but it's like, that, I don't know, that stuck out to me. Because it's like, it's interesting because it's like no one tells you, it's like what. So I think if you emphasize that, or like maybe stand it, I don't know, it was good.
Maybe leave more room around that phrase? Do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know if that would.
We'll have to try that. We'll try that. Let me start that. I like the clothes.
Okay.
I like those. I'm wondering if it might be a lot if you physically have them.
Okay.
So if you took pictures of them, I think it might be more fluid for you. Or, because that's my only thing. It's like, if you're comfortable, like, because I haven't seen you do it, like, with the slides. But if you get it down to, like, a timing, you'll be good. And I think the physical articles are good. But if it's more of, like, it's going to take more time to transition everything to, like, I have to go grab these clothes. I got to put these down. If it's going to distract, I think that might be hard. I like the physical part of it. I'm just thinking about, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Did you go out and buy those?
No, that's why I brought them, because these are what I own.
Gotcha.
This is from when I was little. Like, these were the clothes that, like, I had that I never wore.
Right.
So I liked the fact, like, because I don't have this anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
I know, because I was like, where did you get that?
Yeah. So I wonder if I brought more articles than one just for fun, but I wonder if I just had one, if that would maybe.
So the one the belt was covering it, so I didn't really see it. If you were just to, like, maybe fold it up and just, like, hold it with your hand, like, under it to emphasize, that would be fine too.
Okay.
That's like, that's, I was just gonna say, like, if it's gonna be more of a hassle than it is of
an impact.
Yes. Then I think that's something to look. I don't know.
That's a good thing to look at to see if I find myself being awkward to grab them.
So that's just like when you really get down to the fact that you're just practicing it and practicing it and practicing it. So that was good. Where am I looking? So I want to say, like, I like how at the end you gave a place for us to start with this issue. Like, you gave us a place for us to be like, we need to start with storefronts. We need to start. I think that was good. Because it's not something that's drastic, and it's not something that isn't, like, that we can't do gradually. Yeah. Does that make sense? I think that was good. You also acknowledge some of the limitations, which is, like, when you talk about eating, and you talk about, like, the diets that people have for themselves and, like, that kind of stuff. I think that that's good that you acknowledge that for a hot second, but then you brought it back. Yeah. You were like, I will say that this is here, but I want to say that this is not the issue I'm talking about. I'm talking about women in clothing. Like, that's what you're talking about. I do think that what we need to do is we need to find a place in your speech that is like, why does this matter? Mm-hmm. Because you're talking about, like, some of the stuff that happens with, like, you're giving us a place to start, and you're telling us, like, what we need to do, but I think what you need to do is you need to have this moment that is clear-cut, that everybody will understand and be like, why does this matter? Right. Like, you know how we did the proposal, and it's, like, a sentence. Yeah. Find that sentence and be like, this is what matters. Because right now, like, as someone who, like, you know, this is important to me, and I think that this should be important to everybody, I know why this matters, but, like, to someone who's in the audience who's maybe like, I don't really understand what's going on, you need to have that crystal clear, why does this matter? Yeah. So I need to work on that. That's one. And that's a hard thing to do. Yeah. It's
like your brain is so encapsulated with the whole picture. Exactly. That's a good point.
Yes. So I'm going to write.
And I think I think my start to that was kind of that end when I go and, like, how wonderful would this world be if we could do this? But I agree if I could say one, like,
don't cut that out.
Statement. Yeah.
Don't cut that out, because that is good. Because that is literally you saying, like, imagine a world that doesn't have this, and this is what it is. Yeah. That is a really good thing to leave at the end for an ending impact. So don't get rid of that. I think there's just, like, let's do that right now. Let's go through this, and we'll find.
Because are you thinking it should be closer to the beginning or closer to the end?
That's the thing, though. It's like, it could be, I don't know. Mine's at the end. But I know someone else who did theirs at the beginning. So really, it's particular to your speech. Let me see. So it's like, because you give us a lot of statistics, which is good. Right. Because it's supporting you, and it's making your argument credible and that kind of stuff. I think you could probably do it at the beginning.
So because, like, I wonder
at that same place.
Because this phrase I think could use an elaboration if I say one sentence. Because my point is tags and labels in fashion make us feel less like people.
And that has to go with your life satisfaction.
And that's, and actually subtracts from your quality of life.
Yes.
If I just say one phrase there, and then I think the transition is still fine, like,
right.
And men and women are, so you might
I think that this might be your, like, why short. Like, put it in, like, your why short, and then there's a point at the end, let me find this, where okay, so you said it brings me back. So that could literally be like, bring it back to the why.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bring it back to the why. Yes. Good. And I know fixing the fashion industry does not fix all the body issues out there. It does not fix addiction or emotional food dependency or generic dispositions or the correlation between childhood sexual assault and obesity. But what could it do? There's a
women who are, I don't want to go into this because it's not my thing.
No, but I want to know. Sorry, this is just me, like,
you know, like women who are like overly, like, we're talking 400, 600 pound women. There's a really crazy, like, statistic out there that women who fall into that category most likely were victims of childhood rape, and that they push it down both with their weight, and it's this, like, psychological belief that if I am overweight, no one will touch me. And, like, it's just crazy.
That was just something I wanted to know.
Yeah, no, it's like, and I hoped people would be like, what the fuck does that mean? And then Google something. But, you know. But anyway, just an interesting point.
Cool. But what could it do? So that's when you're like, you literally say, but what could it do? Yeah. And that's when you're like, bring it back with the why this is important. And then, let's see, it's like, in a world where 58 women feel dissatisfied, and
how wonderful would it be if we didn't feel this way?
So I think maybe instead you move this down here, and you pause. So, like, you would be like, here. So it'd be like, how wonderful, well, let's do this. So, say women feel dissatisfied in their own skin, and 39% want to lose weight. And then you pause, you bring it back to your long why. Like, your longer, like, this matters so much because women's life satisfaction is going down. Like, that's just the short end of it. And, like, life satisfaction is so important to every situation in your life.
Yeah.
And so, after that, that's when you would probably, like, say, move with another point and be like, ooh, I'm going to break this TV. But be like, how wonderful would it be? And, like, slow it down.
Yeah.
Like, how wonderful would it be if I don't know if we is the right answer. Maybe just, like, make it, like, pinpointed. So, like, instead of just, like, the generic we, for that one.
Yeah.
To classify, like, how wonderful would it be for, are you talking about women and men, or, like, mostly women?
I tried to make sure that I included statistics.
Yes, but you want it, like, you're relating it back to yourself, so I think that women is also, like, a strong point, too. Like, how wonderful would it be if men, women, boys, girls, people. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, really, like, something like that, just, like, made it, because, like, and then,
men, girls, and boys.
Hi.
I have this room booked.
Okay,
oh, okay.
Give us just,
No,
like, 1 second? Okay. How wonderful would it be if we could go, what time is it? Okay, we're good.
If women, boys, boys, and people.
Okay. How wonderful would it be if March didn't initiate the rat race? I need clarification on that.
Okay. Yeah. I thought that sentence was a little choppy just for a joke. So
that's good. Okay, let's move this stuff for a second. Sorry, Ashley. Transition period. Okay. We can just find it.
Sorry.
Ooh, is this light on? Here, why don't we just find a place? We can just finish it somewhere. still going. Yeah, it's still going. Let's get this great shot of my face. These are all knobs. That's the problem. Other people. Let me set this down. We can just go to like the first floor. Yeah. I'm just closing my things for sure. Okay. Like trying to figure out here. Let's just do this. That's okay. At least you have to present it in the room. Okay, so. Yeah, that's fine. Here we go. It was smart for you to print out a script. I thought that was helpful.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Being helpful for this.
Yeah. I was like, can I write on it? You're like, sure. Like, good, because I already did. What's up?
Sorry.
She's so cute. I love her. Okay. This'll work. This'll work.
I mean, we're just gonna do the stop-start now, so it's not like
I need to look to see if
make sure we.
I covered everything. No. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna try and make sure that I hit all of the stuff I'm supposed to. Yeah, this is fine. Ooh. Perfect. Oh, look at this.
Look at that.
Look at all this fun stuff. Okay. We can just set this right here. We should have been here in the first place. It's still going. We're good. Okay.
Ooh, it's chilly in here though. Okay. We're back.
Sorry for the
We're back.
delay. Oh, whiteboard and all. Okay,
Ooh. Okay.
so we were talking about the last part.
Yes.
So I think just in the future, like, because I think I asked the two questions at the beginning, so I don't want to necessarily like, forget about them.
What questions?
Like the,
Oh, okay.
like I say them at the very, like,
Oh,
one,
why do we
we
think? How wonderful
wonderful
would it be
if it didn't?
Oh, good.
So maybe like, what if I still did this part, but instead of going this first, if I say that why again? Like,
Oh, so that could be like your short why
like,
at the beginning? Is that what you're saying? Like it goes
Like-
with your question, or?
yeah. So like, I say a short, maybe 2 or 3 sentences here,
Yeah.
and then I say, how wonderful would it be if we didn't feel this way? If we didn't feel this way, people's quality of life would increase.
Yeah.
Da da da. And then maybe even for emphasis, repeat this question.
Yep.
And then go into that.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Sweet.
Good idea.
That's a good point, though. Yeah, I agree with you that I need to.
your laptop, okay? Bring up the side so I can make sure that you can
I think
I did general feedback. I did.
it's show like
I modeled
yeah.
most of the stuff.
Here, it's line by line modeling, encouraging.
I did encouraging.
Yeah, developing a plan.
I'm gonna do. So I need to do that though.
So do a little line by line and then go into.
I think what we should start with is where is it?
Do the line by line of
starting. Yeah, what part?
Well, let's try and figure out, like, I think the why short we probably shouldn't do right now because that's like, oh, we wanted to do this one. So it's like, and I think it's interesting how I found out that I was fat. Let's try that a couple times.
Okay.
So why don't you go into it, maybe start, like, however, despite these two concerns, and just kind of go from that.
Okay.
That
Sounds
will
good.
work to me.
Okay.
I'll just set this way.
So
You can read it right
Yeah,
from there.
yeah.
Like, that's fine. Just
um,
think about what you're saying.
however, despite these two concerns, I choose to start my story by saying, since I was a little girl, I knew I was fat because that's exactly how I felt. And what I think is more interesting than knowing I was fat is
No, you're good. Keep going.
yeah. And I think what's more interesting than knowing I was fat is how I found out I was fat.
Because you use the hand gesture that's
I
kind of
found
like...
out. Do you think
Maybe take your pitch down a little bit.
Okay. So,
Just try and say, like, the whole first sentence.
and I don't think it's, what I think is more interesting
Yeah.
in knowing I was fat is how I found out I was fat.
It's better.
Do you think I should add a sentence about, like,
No.
societal, or do you think people
No,
are...
leave it at that.
Okay.
Because I think that that's a moment that also leads you into your story. And I
Yeah.
think that that's kind of like the whole part, like that sentence sums up your story. And I think that that makes I think that's really important. So I think it's just like, when you said it, it kind of like passed by, but it stuck out with me. So I think it's going to stick out with other people as well.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
important. Cool. Let me see that. What else we got there?
Do you just want me to start with my story and then you stop me
Yes.
at,
Yes.
you know,
Do you have it on your laptop?
my story?
Did you use this?
No, but I can, since we're in this setting, if you want me to. Or I can use my laptop.
I was just going to say, I want something to
Oh, yeah, I
look
can pull it
at.
up
So
for
that's
you.
why I was like, no, I thought that was important.
Yeah.
Sweet. Here you go.
Okay.
And I'll just.
So do you just want me to start at that part that I just did?
Why don't you just, well, let's see, we got time. Why don't you just start from the beginning and we can just kind of,
Okay.
if that's something that you want to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Having extra of something is always a good idea. If mainstream America has taught us anything, it's that more is always better. If you have anything plus something else, it means you had more than you had in the first place, which is always a great place to be.
Yes.
So, plus 50% off means more money in your pocket. Plus 1 to a wedding means more likely to have a good night. Plus breadsticks when you buy a medium topping pizza, even more likely to have a good night. Plus size, 58% more likely to feel uncomfortable in the skin you live in.
Okay, pause for a second. The breadsticks is good humor, like that. You did this thing where you kind of like, you did take a longer pause and you did take down your pitch, which I think made it fluid. 58% more likely to feel uncomfortable in the body that you live in is really important. So what you're doing right now is you're kind of like doing this like little like, I mean, I do it too, everyone does it. You like, will do hand gestures and
Yeah.
you like shift your hips. I think this is a part where you need to like,
Make sure I'm standing.
be like, this is the shit that I want you to like.
Yeah, all of this was
This
just
is the defining moment of my speech. Like, this is
Okay.
where I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about. So that's just another thing. It's just like keep in mind that like,
Do you think the movement is okay up until that
Yeah.
point?
I mean, it's normal,
make
it's comfortable,
it typical?
it's
Okay.
natural.
Okay.
And if it's not natural, don't do it because
Right.
that's just like if it looks like it's choreographed to the point where it's annoying.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
But I just think that like there are certain defining moments in like, and that's just something that you need to keep like when you practice. You're just thinking about like. Like in my moment, it's like, because I'm talking about how men have worse life, like they have worse self-esteem, and then they have like all of these problems like depression and suicide stuff. So I'm saying like, while we're focusing so hard on women, and I think that that's amazing, and then I'm going to go into be like, it like reminds
Right.
me, and and I'm like, this is forward, this is front, like this
My
is
power
like
stance,
this
yeah.
is it. Yeah.
Okay. So do you want me to do the beginning again and then do it with power?
So start with the
stance?
breadsticks, like
Okay.
plus breadsticks when you buy me, and then go
Okay.
into it, and then your next is like you might notice that in all these situations, plus size is the only situation that
Yeah.
plus actually. So that's good. Very well written.
Thank
Very
you.
well written. I really like it. Yeah, it's very kind of poetic in a way, so it's good.
Thank you.
Okay, so do the
All right.
breadstick one, and then
Plus breadsticks, when you buy medium topping pizza, even more likely to have a good night.
Mhm.
Plus size, 58% more likely to feel uncomfortable. in the
see that
body.
just that already right there just like
Okay.
made it, because you had this like you were like joking around. You're like, yeah, breadsticks, like, and all of us people, college people, especially when you're drunk, know how much more breadsticks make a difference in your night.
We're
Like,
oh, that's a good night for sure.
seriously.
Yeah.
So it's good to know like that, and then you like, because you're kind of like joking around, you're being casual, like you're talking to people, like it's
Yeah.
fun. And then when you make that change,
Yeah.
it changes the feel, and it changes like the stupid of a word this might sound, but it changes the vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's really good. I like that. So just think about it that way. And I think what I want to encourage you to do is I want you to stand up holding your script, read it out loud, and the parts of your script that really like stand in like those moments like where it's like 58%, like that's over half. That's a huge
Yeah.
chunk.
yeah.
So it's like really, I want you to kind of like underline it and be like, these are moments that I need to like think about, and then narrow it down to like 3 or 4, and be like, these are moments that will define either transition periods,
yeah.
will define my speech. Like that one right there is getting you set up. So
Right.
that's really important. So it'd be like 58% more likely to feel uncomfortable in the body that you live in. Good transition. Beautiful, like your whole first part of that is like beautiful. So honestly, just be like, boom, this is it. And you're going to listen to me because I have something to say.
Right.
Like that's what Ashley always says. She goes, if you, this is like the main, you have to have something to say, and you have something to say, and we want to hear what you have to say.
right.
So there may be people in the audience that are like, oh, whatever, pizza, and then you're like this, and then it's like, well, shit, didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's so funny that it's just like right there. I'm like, do it, you got it.
Okay. That's good.
And like I said, with the stats is something that I think you really, and this is just for like clarity purposes, like, you like
So
you had-
numbers get messy.
numbers
So-
get messy, which is why I think that if they're not, like, this sounds really weird, but if they're not like the main part of your presentation, so if numbers are just something that you want to throw in for credibility reasons, then that's okay. But if like numbers are a really big part for me, because it's like 1/3 of men don't disclose that they have mental illness, or like they feel bad about themselves until 2 years after it's hit crisis.
Right.
Like that's a big deal. So I want that statistic
Yeah.
to stand out. But if you're more like you know what I'm saying? Like if
Oh,
it's
for
like
sure.
if it's definitely like you need to include it, I think that you should make some slide representation that go with it.
Okay. I agree. Yeah.
But if it throws you off, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
That's another thing too.
Yeah.
So-
I repeat 2 statistics.
I did notice
3
that.
times, so I think that those are the numbers I hope people.
Those are
Leave
those
later
are
and
the
go,
ones that I
"Shit,
think you
that's
need
crazy."
to. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So it's good
Okay,
that you know that.
58% and 89. Those
58% is the one that stuck with me the most,
two. Okay.
because
That's
it's
good to
like you always think 50 is so like 50 is half.
Right.
Like that is the mindset that people. And then when you're like 58 is over half, you're like over half. So like then that's when it registers.
Yeah.
So it's
And what's crazy about that number is I didn't want to include this because, like, you know, your speech can be 20 minutes long. Is that number isn't like, oh, I hate my thighs, oh, my stomach.
No,
it's
this is
overall
literally-
body appearance.
yes.
That, like, boggled my mind.
It's when you look in the mirror and it's
And
like you can't
ooh.
find one thing that you're like, this is good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's crazy. Okay.
It sucks. It sucks so bad. It makes me so frustrated that things like that happen. Good. Now, I think that it's going to be important, though, with your story to keep it casual, to keep it comfortable. Because, like I said, if you're standing, like, in the power stance, it's like the mood changes. But I also think that if you're telling a personal story and it gets to the point where it's so serious, it might be too much. Because you did say that at the beginning you're worried about it being too much.
Yeah,
and I didn't
that's
think
my
it,
biggest
I honestly didn't think it was.
That's
I
good.
thought it was great overall. It was really impactful. You did a really good job of like keeping together all of the information and then like having these points where it was like, this is good, this is good,
Right.
this is good. I liked that. So what I think you should do with your story is I want you to be at a point in your story where you feel that even though it's vulnerable, you feel comfortable giving it.
Yeah.
Because I want to see that comfortability in you when you're giving this speech.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that's just going to come from you. Like, I'm not going to give you anything like that. I think that, and this is going to sound weird, but I think you need to practice it by yourself in that part and, like, listen to what you're saying, see how you feel. Because if you picture it without people there, I feel like it's just going to be second nature to you. Those body movements are going to be inside you and it's going to work out.
Yeah, for sure.
If this doesn't make sense, please tell me because I'm
No,
just like...
no, I get you. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I think especially when you're telling a story that's
Your story...
feels more vulnerable.
And the thing is,
like,
I'm not going to give you any critique on your story because it's not my story, it's yours. Make it your own. And you did make it your own. So I'm like, just leave that as it is and just go with it. And it's going to be fine. What was your final question? So I was so embarrassed by that tiger would hide from my catcher, so no was there for me. That's what I wanted. So that was the answer to my first question. Why do we think this way? There you go. Your why is in that question, and it's right there. I'm going to highlight this.
And then do you think, one thing that I know I do twice in the presentation,
Yes.
because when I got feedback from, like, the little circle thing we did, is that people wanted numbers. Because I think people who aren't, like, dealing
That's
with
true.
body image, they find, like, numbers to be...
Which is why, numbers
So
are good.
I use them a lot. So that's why I provided the one that's, like, the Study by Psychology Today, and that thing where the woman went, like, to 69 stores. Do you think it's
I love
okay that takes
I love
up
that
a
story.
chunk? Okay, because
Yes.
that's what, I thought they were interesting numbers, interesting story, like...
Well, it's good that you
Really-
gave your personal story and then you gave a story in a way that was like scientific and research
Yeah,
based. So people
that's
who
why.
have that like type of brain and like that type of learning are also going to be able to compare the two and like relate to your story more because of your, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like, I didn't want it to be like, yep, this is the answer, because one person in the universe felt that way.
Yes.
So I thought that that would provide something. So anyway.
I am a fan of that. Yeah. Your story, the article is interesting. I think something that you need to do, this is what I struggle with, is like citing it. Because you say who it's by, which is good. Right? Yeah, you do say who it's by.
Psychology Today study.
Oh, then you're fine. Lauren, a size 14 writer. That was good. She's size 14. Which isn't even
It's so
stupid.
literally so typical. It's crazy. What's considered plus size? Is it okay that I include that like random statistic that like size 14 and above is plus, and then is that okay that I include that in her story?
She says, okay, so plus size is considered anything 14 and up, which alone is shocking because 67% of women wear a size 14. Okay.
Or above. So it's like,
Or larger. But I just, yeah, I think that's important.
because I couldn't find another place
I
where it
think that's
naturally fit, where I did, because I don't think the point is defining who is plus
What
size.
I think you should do with
Yeah.
this, I don't know what a size 14 looks like.
Mm.
What does size 14 look like?
That's a really good point.
Because it's like, is size 14 who, like, this person is, who this person is, who this person is? There's all of these different images that you could get. So it's like, come here real quick. Let me see.
I mean, I'm a size 14.
You're a size 14?
Mhm. I'm pretty positive.
Are you really? That's
I go
just-
between 12 and 14, but like, the more I shop, the more I find that 14.
Well, you're beautiful, so.
Thank you.
So screw all that shit. You're beautiful. I
What
think.
time is it? I just realized.
So
Okay.
we got some time. Like, right, we'll wrap this up like really quick so you can get to your meeting.
Yeah, for sure.
If you wanted to be like an I wear size 14,
And if you
you could
needed
do
it.
that. If you needed that visual, or if you want to find somebody, that's fine too.
That's a good. I never thought about. I think that puts it in perspective
Because it's like I don't know what a size 14 looks like.
Yeah, a size
I don't know what that
14
looks
could
like.
be huge compared to somebody, especially males in the audience. I think.
Yeah,
They're
because
like,
they don't know.
They're like,
They
I
have no
wear a
idea.
size 32 pants. I was
Yeah,
like,
what? You're like, I wear a size 32. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. Okay.
They're
That's
like-
a really good point.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's a
I
good point.
never
They
even
didn't
thought
think about
about
men's pants are in 30. They're in like, that's funny. Which is weird because like, why aren't women like that?
Because we like to give numbers. We like it. Okay, so
There's so much in this that you can just expand and make this into like an hour
literally it could be
presentation.
documentary. I know.
I love
I
it.
keep thinking that. I'm like, I need to keep my. and
You
that's
did a good job of giving us information that was like, boom, here it is, but you didn't like stay on it for too long.
Yeah.
You gave us an overview of what everything you needed to do was, and you gave it to us in detail.
which is good. But
Okay.
you didn't like. I'm going to talk about
Right.
this and this and this and this and this in this part, and then this part. I'm gonna talk about this. Yeah, don't do that because that'll
Yeah.
drive me nuts. But honestly, it's like
So-
solid script,
Thank you.
solid script.
So things I need to do is really
Yes, let's
incorporate
get this plan going. So, good.
incorporate my why
That because that was
in
like
my
the one
in
thing.
the
It was
quality of life.
yeah.
Really solidify that in two places of my.
Well, is that what you think? Like, do you think
No,
that it's really
100
okay?
Yeah, I totally think it's about how it makes people like. I think about my size
Yes.
when I walk my dog, when I go to like in
Okay.
everything in life. So I think it definitely. So
Okay.
absolutely, and then I need to make sure my slides have numbers on them and are black
Just
when they
the-
need to be.
Yes, I think that just makes such a difference. Like, say if I'm standing here, like, look at this. Say that this is full
Yeah,
of pictures or words or something.
yeah,
Everyone is gonna look at that.
yeah.
They are not gonna look at me, and so it's like you gotta be like, boom, it's black. You got nothing to focus on besides me.
Yeah,
So now you have to.
I
It's
think
like one of
that's
those
a good point.
situations. So I think that's good.
And then play with the clothes and see.
Just like that'll come in practicing. Like
Yeah.
if you feel like you can just like reach around and be like, here it is, and it looks good. Like, do you have like someone on your floor that like
Oh yeah.
yeah. So just be like, hey, come here real quick. I need you to just like check this out, see if it's okay. That's important too. And just yeah,
And find my power moments.
that's really good. I need to
So.
go through and do that.
Yeah.
Because it's like while I was watching you, I was like, she's got so many of these in here, but I feel like you like brushed by them a little quickly.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh,
it's
for
like,
sure.
Like the one like I loved is like I found out. I was like, I feel like you just kind of like brushed through that when that could really be a moment where you're like, boom,
That's a
this is
moment,
what
yeah.
like, and then you go into talking about clothes, and it's not something that like say it's like clothes were the point in maybe your life that like defined like this is when I found it out, and it's like I'm not the only one who does this. It's because and even women who are like incredibly underweight into an unhealthy way, like they see that themselves like I'm a zero, I want to be a double zero.
Yeah.
So like that defines them in a way too. So it's like
Okay.
that kind of stuff. So I think that that's really important. It's like I don't care like what. I just want people to be healthy. I just want them to be healthy.
Yeah.
And that's like that's like the biggest thing for me. Like be happy, be healthy, and just be yourself. It's so rough to do that. It's like an unachievable task in a way almost, but
Mhm.
I think that's good. I lost it. I loved it all. Like honestly,
Thank you.
I really did. I really enjoyed it, and I think that you have a natural talent for it. I do, because it's like some people will get up there and they just stand and they're just like,
Yeah.
but you like know when like transition with your arms. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. That's
Think about it, and it's like if it's not comfortable, do
do
it.
it because it's uncomfortable for everybody else.
I would say. But the
Yep.
thing is it's like there's so many things that, and this is why I don't like this 50 thing as much, because it's like you have so much time to analyze it and to like take it. It like makes me more stressed out. But I do think that like if you just like feel natural and you feel comfortable and you feel passionate about what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Thank you for.
Absolutely.
Oh, I genuinely felt like it was helpful and not like.
Good.
That was great. All right, let's move on.
Good. Do you want to keep this?
Oh yes.
Yes.
All right. I would say I.
Go to your
Thank you.
meeting.
Thank you again.
Absolutely. If you have any questions, like feel free to let me know. So.
Yeah,
But
for
I
sure.
thought it was great. You were awesome.
Thank you.
And you were beautiful.
Thank you. And if your coach, you don't feel like was as helpful, just message me again.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. All right. See ya.
Bye. Have a good meeting. I'll see you later.
Thanks.